wonderful experience of thinking together. For me, that is the happiest thing in the world. Okay? And I want to thank all of you for participating in it with keen interest. See, if you actually look at yourself, you will know what a beautiful and encouraging picture it constitutes. To have 400 young men and women sitting together, concentrating on what is being said, participating in the process of thinking, absorbing, retaining, cherishing, all this is wonderful. The value of which cannot be measured. It's a great experience in itself. And I want you to know that your participation, your keen interest is deeply appreciated. Right? Now, we have been looking at the whole discipline of thinking, right? And I said, you must ask. Asking is a fundamental intellectual duty. And there are two domains, two sectors of interrogation, the self and the other. And in that segment, we covered two ideas, came to the third, but we didn't have time. The two ideas were, we interrogate orthodoxy, we must interrogate tradition. Interrogation doesn't mean rejection. Interrogation is an attempt to enter into. You understand? Interrogation is an attempt to enter into something. Very often the word interrogation or asking is understood or felt as a negative thing. That is never the case, and it should never be the case. Asking must be a very positive and proactive step. Right? We must ask with a positive mind. Or I used another expression, an open mind. Right? Asking is not the rhetoric of attack. I've said that. You remember some of these expressions? Fine. Now today, I'll just say one or two things about propaganda, the need to question propaganda, then move on to the next part of our reflection. Propaganda is the art of telling lies like truth. I'm using a Shakespearean expression. Propaganda is the art of telling lies like truth. Let me give you an illustration so that you understand this clearly. If you remember the Iraq War, the war was preceded by very sustained, concentrated, intense, involved propaganda spearheaded by the United States of America. That Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Okay? WMD, weapons of mass destruction. Now, all kinds of tactics were used over a period of time to convince the rest of the world that this dictator was sitting on a stockpile of weapons of mass destruction. And therefore, in order to ensure the safety of the world, he had to be eliminated. He had to be removed from his seat, or this is what is called regime change. The rationale for a regime change was improvised through propaganda. And every word that was uttered was a falsehood. There was not a particle of truth in what was dished out to the whole world for such a long time. So a coalition of the willing was created. You remember? A coalition of the willing was created. War was unleashed. Saddam Hussein was unseated. Are the people of Iraq doing any better? No. But I'm not going to go into those political aspects. I only want you to know that propaganda is always used by agents of either oppression or of vested interests. Propaganda is never an attempt to tell the truth. It's a highly developed art nowadays. For example, paid news is also propaganda. Because it is included in the news bulletin, you think it is true. It is not true at all. Orchestrated media campaigns, propaganda. Now this is done on the assumption of a principle that Hitler and his associate Goebbels invented, namely, that if you tell the same lie 10 times, if you throw the same dirt 10 times, a little bit will stick. Right? A little bit of this will stick. Now, unfortunately, in this age, when people are quite willing to surrender their thinking to the media, or the opinion makers, or even the local groups that are out to mislead you, misinform you, propaganda has devastating effect. But the end result of propaganda will be that you are corrupted, you are made a dumping ground of falsehood, and your active endorsement is secured from you completely against the grain of your character. And in the process, your personality gets violated. You understand? So, endorsing propaganda unthinkingly is not in your interest. Is that clear? Therefore, if you care for yourself, leave alone anybody else. If you care for yourself, you must interrogate propaganda. If a particular viewpoint is being advanced day in and day out, with all kinds of strategies and instruments used, you must immediately understand that there is vested interest at play in this. And therefore you should ask the question, what is that vested interest? What is that hidden agenda? And where will that hidden agenda lead me? What are the consequences of endorsing this hidden agenda, which is not my agenda, it is not an agenda of truth? What will be the outcome of all this? Shouldn't you ask this question? I think it's our fundamental duty to interrogate propaganda. Most educated people do not, and that's the reason why I'm introducing the subject. Unfortunately, in our times, the more a person is educated, the more of an intellectual slave he becomes. And what is even more ironically is, the more a person struts and boasts that he is the ambassador of free thinking, the more he is a slave of propaganda. The more he fails to think. Because free thinking has become a fashion, not a culture or character. You understand? Free thinking is like any of the fashions that you see in the market. It is something that a person boasts of. It's an ornament. It's like a pair of new trousers, acid washed, just arrived in the market. It has nothing to do with who you are, your character, your taste, your conviction, your worldview, or philosophy of life. You understand? So there is a need to interrogate orthodoxy, there is a need to interrogate tradition, and there is a far greater need to interrogate propaganda. Right? Now, the text says, ask and it will be given you. Alright? Now I'm going to slightly turn the direction of our thinking. Alright? Let me ask you a question. If today, a supernatural being, say God, alright? I know young people are reportedly allergic to God, but that allergy disappears when examinations come, and people who claim to be completely free from slavery to God pray fervently for God's mercy. Therefore, I believe that there should be university examinations at least once a month. You agree with me? You don't. No mind. So anyway, it's fashionable to say that, I have created myself, there is no God, vagera, vagera. No man, that's okay. For the sake of argument, let us say that God stands here and asks a question. What gift shall I give you? What shall I give you? Not gift. What do you want from me? Ask and it will be given you, right? Now, any answer? If today you are asked to name the thing that you want, you would like to get, what will be that thing? Give me this. What will you say? Anyone? Have you ever thought about this? Now, this is very interesting. Yes?
Happiness.
Happiness. Very good. Happiness, then of course, suppose God is a little mischievous. Sometimes God is very mischievous. God has a great sense of humor. Suppose God says, son, what do you mean by happiness? What will you do?
I would probably say that at the end of the day, when I go back to return to him, if I can say I'm happy with how my life turned out, then yes. If I have no regrets.
Okay, so you're actually referring to a quality of life. That's your idea, and that's a very interesting thought. And hopefully we'll develop these things. No, you should not feel inhibited in making your opinions known. I mean, somebody may laugh, so what? The whole world is laughing at me, but I am laughing with the whole world. Doesn't matter. All these things are completely unimportant. What is important is who you are, right? And that's the greatest thing. So use your freedom to express yourself. Only then you will be able to take the next step forward. Otherwise you will sit frozen and not move. I want you to get out of this mindset, okay? Alright, so quality of life. Ask for quality of life. And then, not being mischievous, naughty, sense of humor, God would say, son, how can I give you a quality? It's an abstract thing. Please enlighten me on this. Then what will you say?
Sir, since God is all-knowing, and then I would...
That's a circular argument. It's a perfect example of a circular argument. Okay. See, the thing is this. Then God will very likely say, I do not know, I say this with great fear and trembling. Likely say, son, you get quality of life not as an object which I can give you, like a book or a pizza or whatever, but it is a byproduct. You understand? It's a byproduct of all that you do and all that you don't do, all that you are and all that you refuse to be. You understand? So, the quality of life is not a product but a byproduct. You cannot go on looking for quality of life. Now give me 5 kilograms of quality of life. Where can I find quality of life? You can find quality ice cream. But you can't get quality of life just like that. Okay? Now you must think about it. Today that is not my main subject. If you want, we can have a discussion. By the way, tomorrow if you're ready, we can have a question-answer session. Would you like it? On all that we have discussed so far. Okay? You ask very interesting questions, you have good ideas, you are very keen and proactive. There is no reason why our question-answer session should not be intellectual fireworks. Alright? The only fireworks that will not pollute there is intellectual fireworks. Right? Okay? So tomorrow, any takers? Not ready? Day after tomorrow? Next week? Next month? Next year? Anyway, when you're ready, you let me know. Let's time is precious. Now, with this, let me introduce another strain of thought. As far as I know, there are 3 types of people in the world. All these are very easy to remember. I will never introduce concepts which are complex. I pick concepts straight from the lap of life. Not from books, from life. Therefore, they are the simplest and the easiest to remember. Okay? There are 3 types of people that I know. 1, those who are oriented to material things. So if such people are asked the question, what shall I give you? They'll say perhaps, give me a BMW. Or give me a Rolex watch. Or give me something, any object of desire. iPhone 6 or 6.5 now. Or something, material objects. Or take me to Taj Intercontinental for a dinner or something, right? So, or send me to the Caribbeans for a study tour. Like our members of legislative assemblies go to the Mexican forest to find out how city can be improved. So that's all they can think of, because this is the orientation. The lowest orientation of a human being is being things oriented. Okay? There's a great deal to be said about this, but I don't have time. The second types of people I have come across are people oriented. They are relational. Relationships matter to them. The first category, relationship does not matter. Getting matters. The significance of a person is that he gives. So you cultivate people who can give you something. You call them my bab, right? That's why that is the heart of this VVIP culture. Now let me ask you, what is the problem if somebody has a red beacon light? I don't have a problem. But it's a problem because of this culture of being things oriented. You know, this beacon light is more important than the beacon sitting inside. It is not even beacon, it is bacon. Bacon inside and bacon on top. That's the problem. The man who flaunts his red light in himself, if you remove the chair, is nothing. That's the problem. That is why such people cannot live without the red light. You understand? So that is why a city becomes a red light area, right? Okay. Now, you have to remain very careful. When I speak, I do some flip-flops, deliberately, just to see if you are concentrating. So, things-oriented people, then people-oriented people. And third, ideas-oriented people. People who find their delight not so much in getting this, that and the other, not so much in this individual or that individual, but in the world of ideas. The largest group of people today are the first category, right? The second largest, which is actually a small group, is the second. The tiniest is the first, the third, which is ideas or intellectually oriented people. And this is our impoverishment. And one of the things I want to do through the assembly is to change this, to get ourselves reoriented towards ideas, concepts, thinking, the intellectual and inner delight, the wealth, the richness. And the more you are rich of this kind, the more you are liberated from being things oriented. You understand? In olden days, this was said about spirituality. The mark of a spiritually evolved person is his liberation from dependence on material things. Alright? There is a story, and I'll today conclude with that story. The story of a desert father. Desert fathers were people who led ascetic lives. They went deep into the desert to live a life of seclusion so that they can meditate, pray, and lead a purely spiritual life. And one aspect of their life was total renunciation of material possessions and pleasures. So there's a story of a desert father who used to come to the nearby city once a year and go around window gazing, window shopping. See, you look at all the things, displayed for sale. And he will go back without buying anything at all. So a person got very curious and said, why should this desert father, who is supposed to be totally indifferent to material things, come and do this window shopping and go back? And he does it without fail on the same day every year. So he plucked up the courage and went and asked him. He said, yes, I'll tell you why. I come and have a look at these things and I thank God that I don't need these things. You understand? And if you don't reach a level of liberation from these lifeless material things, the sum total of which you think today defines your personality, then you will not be able to develop a genuine interest in the life of the mind, leave alone the life of the soul. Okay? So ask. What will you ask? What will you ask for? Today, go back, sit alone and ask yourself, if I were to stand face to face with someone who can give me anything that I ask for, and that person says, what is it that you want from me? What can I give you? What will you ask for? And that will be the answer. The question to that answer will be the answer to the question, who am I? You understand? Right? The kind of things you ask for will reveal who you are. Okay? The kind of delights you have will reveal who you are. Okay? Ask yourself, what was the happiest moment in my life till now? That itself is a clue. What was the happiest experience in my life till now? Okay? Tomorrow, if you want, you can come and talk about it. The happiest day or the happiest experience in my life. Does anyone want to say something about it? It must be the truth. Don't create stories. Huh? What was the happiest moment? You had a happy moment in your life? Or are you still waiting? Huh? Had a happy moment in life? Well, I tell you that tomorrow will be the happiest day in your life when you speak at the assembly. Right? Okay? So how many people will speak tomorrow? Wonderful. So 1, 2, 2 will do, and gradually we'll get started. I see a third hand day after tomorrow, okay? Because we have to strike a balance between a stream of thought and the response. Okay? Thank you very much. Let's rise for prayer.